One thing I do want to start with is that this will not be the new norm for time with our current situation. We felt this last part of the business workday technically has been working well for people to give them their nights back to stay off the screens. So thank you for taking the time to join at this new time. Moving forward, hopefully when things get back to whatever normal will begin to look like, we'll go back to nightly calls so everyone can make them. As always, we are recording this call, so please feel free to share it once you receive it from your regional manager in the next couple days with assistant coaches, even family members if they want to get more information, and we'll send you guys the links as we move forward. Now, before we move forward with our summer season, Michelle Pewters, our Western Regional Manager, is going to walk you guys through this tennis call, so hopefully you have the agenda that was emailed to you in front of you, which should help. I wanted to touch on our current situation just in general and how we're going to perceive everything moving forward. So as most of you know, all training and competition, nothing can happen for sure before May 31st. That is still strictly in place. Moving forward, Megan Scremen, as you guys know, our president and CEO, sent out a great video explaining how we're going to proceed moving into the summer. I encourage you guys all to watch that. It should be linked on your agenda. It's about a 2-minute video. She touches base on a lot of things. But one thing that I really wanted to get at is that as we move forward, our goal is to do everything in our power possible to at least begin training somehow. That's going to be sport by sport. It's going to be county by county. But regardless of what that looks like and when that date is, which we don't know yet, we will have safety protocols and guidelines in place to cover everyone's end when it comes to making this happen. So that is our ultimate goal, is to get the training happening, and then we'll focus on the events and competitions as we move forward once we get those dates in place. That being said, we do have a ready-to-play task force set up with a handful of coaches on it, where we are going to build these guidelines. Again, it's going to be based off the CDC, state, county recommendations, and all of those things, and we're going to provide you guys with the resources you need to successfully run a safe practice for our athletes once we get to that point. That being said, we cannot sign a certificate of insurance currently. So if you guys have the ability to get a facility in practice, until further notice, we can't sign anything yet. That could change tomorrow. We need to play it safe on our end until we have all of our answers covered from our insurance and our liability and all of those things. So officially, we can't sign anything off yet on a facility to start practice at a minimum of June 1st, but we will again communicate the date when all of that is safe. As soon as we know, you guys will know. That being said, our summer approach, we wanted to keep everything on the calendar as is for now. However, our regional managers are working diligently to move their summer regional tournaments back. So I want to thank you guys ahead of time for being very appreciative and open to the liquidity of this situation. So I know we like to keep things set in stone and have everything set a certain specific way year after year, but as you know, there's going to be a lot of changes the rest of this year moving forward, pending what we're allowed to do versus what we're not allowed to do. So there may be last minute changes to try to run a regional event if it's even possible. So please, just if you have any questions, reach out directly to your regional manager. You can reach out to myself, reach out to Susan, but that is how we're going to approach the summer season. With that, we're going to get questions on medicals, Class A's, entry forms, things of that nature. Just understand that we're going to be flexible and that we're going to work on an event by event and a practice by practice basis. That's the best answer we can give right now. Again, we can't commit to anything because we don't, you guys know what we know at this point. So when it comes to things that it actually takes to run the event, we're going to give you guys dates today. We're going to give you guys deadlines today, as if we're going to run those events that specific way. But as those change, please just pay attention to your email, pay attention to our communications, utilize our website as it gets updated to stay up to date with the best possible scenario. That being said, I wanted to share my screen with you guys real quick. We are going through a lot of website updates right now. It shouldn't affect you guys to a big T. Can someone confirm when they can see my homepage, please, with a voice?
I got it.
Thank you. We are going through a lot of changes on our website. We're trying to simplify the heck out of it for everyone, okay? So As of right now, most of you that have favorited the regional webpage still continue to do so, but I just wanted to walk you through that aspect real quick. So if you go to SpecialOlympicsCO.org and you go to About Us and you go to Regions, you can click on whatever region you're coaching in. And we're just going to use Denver as an example, but all of our regional web pages are now set up the exact same way with the exact same templates. So when you go to your Denver region page, you're going to have your regional calendar as always. You're going to click on it, and there's going to be the regional calendar for the year. This is literally updated daily. As things change, our marketing team does a great job to keep our information top notch for you guys. Now, rather than having all that information listed in a bunch of columns, we're going to start utilizing our master calendar for everything. So as you can note here, right underneath, it says for all fact sheets, please click on the calendar link below. So all the information you're going to need to know, you're going to have to click on this link. You can click on the date, you can click on find out more pretty much anywhere in this box, and it's going to take you to the event homepage. Once you get to this homepage, it's just going to have a basic welcome sentence. Just scroll down a little bit. There's my man Chaz, and then you click here for the fact sheet. Just like old times, everything is going to be here with the date, location, what's going to be offered, and when your entry forms are due, which I know is everyone's most crucial date. That entry form due date is also on your regional calendar as well, so you have it in 2 spots. If you keep scrolling down, if you go back to the actual regional page, we have a couple more tidbits of information. Click here for entries. This will take you to the coach's resources page by sport, where you're going to find all your entry forms. Michelle is going to review this stuff in detail, but I just wanted to show you guys where you're going to find that now on the regional web page itself. We listed our preseason coaches conference calls here as well, so the information is always at your fingertips. As we complete these, we're actually going to add a button and a link to the YouTube channel that will house all of the calls throughout the year so you guys can reference them as needed. Also on this page is the online application information form, since all of our athlete applications, also known as medicals, are strictly done online now. And then there's 2 surveys I really wanted to call attention to today. Spectrum is a wonderful sponsor, works with us in so many ways. You can apply for team jerseys here. It is on an application process. So if you click on this Need New Uniforms tab, it's going to take you to a quick survey, and there's going to be deadlines for each season. So you can fill out all this information. I would be as detailed as possible because typically we can only pick one person to receive, or one team to receive those jerseys each year. Fill this out, send it in. It comes directly to me, and then we meet 4 times a year if you guys need help getting some new jerseys or something of that nature. Secondly, also very crucial to us updating our systems and simplifying everything is our years involved survey. I got about 15 of these last week when the coach's email went out, so thank you to those of you that have done that. But if you could click here as well, again, this is on every regional web page. We would love to know how long you guys have been involved so we can start tracking that and showing you guys the appreciation you deserve on our site and just in general as we move forward with all of our new updates and revamps. So, and then you scroll down again, there's basic buttons to get to everything. You can get to the state competition page as well. So just wanted to walk through that real quick. I encourage you guys to take a moment when you can and just visit the website in general. The last thing I want to touch on before I pass it off is our SoCo at Home tab. Even when you go to the homepage itself, all of this stuff is on the top. But as you guys get into the summer season and if things stay closed, I really encourage you to utilize these tools for your athletes. So we have a virtual training page with a ton of different aspects. I know we talked about this on our spring call for those of you on it. But we have a virtual workout calendar and a whole bunch of drills for our summer workouts. Our team has just put in a tremendous amount of effort to try to keep our athletes active and training and healthy throughout this process. So please feel free to utilize this at your leisure and make this a part of your practice or utilize it any way you see fit. So I encourage you guys to really, I don't want to go through every aspect of it, but there are so many tools on here that we can utilize throughout this quarantine COVID phase. And it's really going to help us moving forward. So that being said, I am going to pass it off to Michelle and she's going to lead us through calls real quick. Does anyone have any questions on just our basic approach to summer and how we're handling anything before we get into tennis specific questions? Awesome. I'm going to stop sharing my screen real quick. Michelle, whenever you're ready, please take it away.
Awesome. Okay. Thanks, Chop. So we're going to start out with the dates of regional and state. So the Denver Regional Summer Classic is going to be on Saturday, July 18th at the Inverness, Colorado Athletic Club. All regions come to the Denver Regional Tournament for traditional competition. Entries will be due to Adrian or your regional manager by Monday, July 6th. The Northeast region will also have a youth and skills regional for tennis. It's going to be the Summer Classic, and it's on Friday, July 17th at Roland Moore Park in Fort Collins. Entries will be due to Lauren by Monday, July 6th as well. And again, it's just offering youth and skills for tennis, and that is pending entries and interest. Just focusing on the youth growth down there, so it will not mimic a formal tennis competition. State will be on Saturday, August 22nd at the Air Force Academy in Colorado Springs. Make sure you guys are communicating with your parents, the caregivers, and the athletes to see, who's going to commit to state and regionals. Because as a rule of thumb, athletes and partners and coaches must attend regionals to attend state. With that, 8 weeks of practice, you have to have that before state. But of course, that is pending on our current situation with COVID-19. So just be in constant contact with your regional manager if you have any questions. We wanted to go over the check-in process during a tournament and the flow of a competition for tennis. So typically, what we want to see is athletes and partners reporting to the desk and go with the officials and competitors to the court. So everyone will go together. Please do not send your athletes and partners directly to the court if you know which one they are going to. They need to go to the desk before the games begin, okay? So that's something that we're going to be pretty strict on this following year and this year because it just kind of helps with the flow of everything. I know that was a lot right away, so are there any questions in regards to that? Okay, we're gonna keep going. If you think of a question, just hold on to it. We are going to get to more questions, especially regional specific at the end. Okay, so we are going to go over forms. So we're gonna hover over get involved and we're gonna go down to coach and click on that. From there, we are gonna scroll down to coach resources and click on coach resources. Then we're going to scroll once that loads, and we're going to look for Coach Handbook by Sport. We're going to click on that link. All right, and tennis should be all the way down at the very bottom. And this is where we're going to have all the links that you will need for your tennis season. The first one is going to be the Summer Classic fact sheet for states. So if you need that information, you can get that there. The second one, which we'll get more into later, is the tennis entry form that you will be submitting to your regional manager. There's a sample form as well, so while you're filling that out, it's good to have that just for reference. The next link will be the rating sheet, which is going to be extremely important when you are rating your athletes for the entry form. But again, I will get into that one a little bit later. The individual skills score sheet can be found at this link. And then the instructions for that score sheet, which is just for you guys, is the one right below it. And then we have our SOCO rule interpretations and the SOI tennis rules as well. So make sure you guys read through those with your partners and your coaches so that you guys are up to date for this. So we're gonna go ahead and start with the tennis entry form. On the top, you'll see that it's a coach roster. We have combined the coach roster with the athlete roster as well below it. So the coach roster is just for coaches, not partners, but just coaches. You would fill in the region that you're in. The sport would be tennis in this situation, competition, regionals, and state, because we do turn these in later for you. You put your team name in, the head coach name, The head coach day of event phone, so make sure it's a phone number that we can get a hold of during the competition in case of an emergency. And then you can add your email as well as an additional email if the assistant coach would also like to get updates. So this is where you would put the last name, the first name of your coaches, including whoever's filling it out or the head coach. Make sure you're putting the date of birth down so we don't mix up your coach with somebody else's, and of course the gender. All right, so this is going to be for the athletes and the partners. You would fill out everything at the top just like you did with the coaches. So that way if we lose it or whatever we have, we know whose is what. So make sure you are saying if you want to attend state. If you're not sure, just click yes so we can get you that information later on in the season. All right, so the athlete's name would go above there. Make sure you're also putting their date of birth and their gender so that we know who is who. And if you are a level 1 for the competition, you are actually going to fill out the total points on the qualification score, and that's just for level 1, okay? So if you are level 2 through 5, you would then fill out the score for singles and doubles, and you would not fill out the total points for the level 1 individual skills. You would add the unified partner's name in there, and it doesn't have a date of birth area, but if you could put the date of birth next to the partner's name, that would help us just to make sure that we're putting the right person on your roster. And you would just go through all of that until all of your athletes are listed. Okay, let's go ahead and go over the player review sheet or the rating sheets so that you guys know how to rate your athletes. If your athlete is just starting out or might be a lower functioning, we suggest starting them out as a level 1 with skills. If you have an athlete who has competed before and they are progressing in their skill set, you can see that past level 1, we have level 2 through 8 on each category. So for example, forehand, it goes from 2 through 8. You would basically go through all of these categories and you would put in the level that they identify with or that their skills are with, down to the very bottom of this sheet to the right. It shows the categories and then it shows the levels. So this is where you're going to put those numbers. And at the very end, you will see that you need to divide that number by 7, which will give you your final rating. Within that final rating, you can see at the very bottom of the rating sheet, it can give you the suggested tennis ratings and then what those levels would match up with. So we have levels 1 through 5. And if, let's say you have a very advanced athlete, and you have a rating between 5 and 8, they would then be considered a level 5, and so on and so forth. Okay, do we have any questions about the rating sheets or the entry forms thus far? I know it's a lot. Okay, we're going to move on in a little bit. Let's talk a little bit about principles of meaningful involvement and trying not to have partner domination on the team. We need to make sure that partners are playing to the division of the athletes. So we recommend that you pair partners that are similar skilled to the athletes. We understand that sometimes athletes prefer to play with maybe a family member that might be a little bit more advanced or maybe not as much. So there are case-by-case basis, but we do want to say that the meaningful involvement goes both ways in that sense that we want the partners to enjoy the level of competition and we want our athletes to enjoy the level of competition. So principles of meaningful involvement, if it's not being achieved, that looks like when a partner controls most aspects of the game or displays superior sports skills or does not necessarily set the athlete up for important moments or shots during the game. So just keep that in mind. We just want to make sure that everyone is enjoying it as best as they can. Any questions on principles of meaningful involvement? I think we have one in the chat box. Jeff, would you?
Yeah, Michelle, we were asked if a coach can be a unified partner. If that ends up being the case for tennis, you list yourself as the coach, but also as the unified partner, so we know. And then your regional manager will reach out to you on a case-by-case situation. So if you're a one coach, one person team and you're playing unified doubles, just make sure you list yourself in both spots.
Thank you. Okay. We wanted to address a couple of important rules to note, especially when we're getting into the different levels. So a level 1 looks like a skills competition. It's using the tennis courts, and we use a red foam ball. So again, those beginner levels, lower functioning levels, it's a great way to start. Level 2 would be a short court. It is 42 feet inside the service box, and it also uses a red foam ball. Level 3 is a 60-foot court, which we do tape lines for, and we use an orange dot ball for that level. Level 4 is a 78-foot full court, and a green dot ball is used for that. And level 5 is also 78 feet, it's a full court, and using a typical tennis ball. Let's see, if you guys are needing a little bit more information about that, you can always review that player review or rating sheet. It has a little bit more information on that. I also want to let you know that athletes can participate in skills and short court, either singles or double. And if you have an athlete that starts in skills in the beginning of the season and they end up progressing after state, we can move them on a case-by-case basis. Okay, so just reach out to your regional manager if you have questions about that. Okay, so we're going to talk a little bit about the length of games. I'm going to go through this a little bit slower because there's a lot of game, set, match sort of things, so it can get a little bit confusing. But at the end, if you have questions, feel free to ask. So traditional match play will consist of the best 2 out of 3 short sets. In a short set, the first player or team who wins 4 games wins that set, provided that there is a minimum of a margin of 2 games over the opponents. So an example of that would be if one team has 3 games and the other team has 5 games. The team with 5 games would win that because they had a margin of 2 games more. If the score reaches 4 games all, a 7-point tiebreak game shall be played. When the score in a match is 1 set all, 1 7-point tiebreak game shall be played to decide the match. This tiebreak game replaces the deciding final set. Doubles will play 1 set to 7. So are there any questions about that part of it? Okay, perfect. I had to read that a couple times to understand it myself, so it sounds like you guys have done this for a while. Okay, so we're going to review a couple of things in section E of the rule interpretations for the SOCO interpretations of 2020. And it's going to be all the way down and in red. All right, so all matches should be played on regulation tennis courts with the court size adapting to the below levels. All doubles play will include the alleys on the court. All tennis balls will be in accordance with the USTA standards, adapting to the levels below. The racket strung surface will not exceed 15.5 inches in overall length and 11.5 inches in overall width. Racket must conform to all USTA standards. We went over the levels a little bit, so we can go a little bit further than that, unless they're all done at that point. All right. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and move on to...
No, I'm sorry to interrupt. This is Christy Harris.
Hi, Christy.
I just wanted to clarify on the court sizes with the orange ball on the 60-foot court. Is it the USTA sidelines? And I always get confused on this, so I just want to be clear with everybody on the call. If the single sideline is doubles and we bring in each side 6 inches for the singles, or if we're just using the single sidelines as single sidelines, which is different than the USTA rules for a 60-foot court.
Susan, do you by chance know?
Yeah, I can go ahead and jump in. We'll use the regular width of the court, Christy. So the length will be 60 feet, which is what we'll tape down, but we will use the other lines of the court, which is what Special Olympics does.
Okay, so single sidelines remain single sidelines for any ball.
Correct.
Okay,
Yeah.
great. Perfect.
Thank you, Christy. That was a good question. All right, so now we're going to talk a little bit about the athlete application in the Class A's. All of you should have received a summer seasonal email by now from your regional manager. That email did include the paperwork needs for your team. If you have not received that, make sure you reach out so that we get the information that you need. That being said, if you are a new tennis team or if you have a couple of new athletes, reach out to your regional manager, let them know who they are so that we can get you that information sooner than later. All right, so athlete applications in Class A are now online and should be filled out online. We are going to show you how to get there. So you're going to go to Get Involved and you're going to go to Athletes. We'll let that load. We'll go down and we're going to say complete our athlete application here. So this is now how they are going to fill it out. If by chance a unified partner ends up on this screen, you can click unified partner and it'll go to the Class A, which is also what the coaches have to do. After 3 years, it will expire, so you have to redo it, and same with the athletes. So we're going to say athlete in this situation, and it's gonna show you a couple of different things. So if you already have the physical exam done and you've already downloaded the copy of the physical exam, you actually can upload it, which we do recommend doing that first before you do the online application, because it just goes by a little bit quicker. So you can download and print it off. If you click on that button, this is what it would look like. You can also do an online version, which we do have a tutorial for the doctor's exam here. So it'll show a 6-minute video, and if that's how they want to do it, then they can definitely do it that way. If they have not done the exam yet and they are going to go on with the rest of the application, it's really important that they save and continue it and make sure that they put in a good email address so that when they come back to it, they don't have to redo it all. We also have an email address that they can put in for coaches. And this is so that the coach, once it's complete, they will get that application through their email and they will have a hard copy that they can print or keep on their phone or email. So awesome. Okay. Did I miss anything on that one, Chop?
Hope you're good for now. I think we have a question though real quick. Let me see what it is in the chat box. Shelly, if you have any questions on a specific athlete, if you could just email the, oh, never mind. Kyle's going to reach out to you. Go ahead, Michelle. That was good. Thanks, Kyle.
Perfect. If you guys hear of, your parents or the athletes having trouble navigating through it, we do have a help desk. The help desk email and number is located on that same page. We do ask that you reach out to them specifically rather than us, because they know a lot more and we would just send you there anyway. So really use your resources there if you have any questions. Perfect. And then if you are a unified partner or coach and you need to get your Class A renewed or completed to begin with, you're going to go to Get Involved and go to Coach. And go down to Coach Registration, Class A, and it'll take you to the online form for that. Now there is a background check that you have to do. It's $17 or $18. But again, once you're done with this, you're good for 3 years. And yeah, I think that's about it for me. Are there any other questions on the Class A and athlete application? Okay, perfect. Susan, I will go ahead and give it to you. Information.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Michelle. As Jeff mentioned, our website is under construction a little bit. But at this point, we will be able to find the fact sheets that will be listed on the calendar page. Jeff, if you're able to go to that. So the competition page is going to look a little bit different. I'll still plan to share all the same information with you guys as far as schedules, your rosters to review, all of those kinds of things. But you'll have to scroll down kind of past this beginning part, right down there. So you'll see that there's each event there. You'll need to actually click on that event if you end up at the competition page. I'll send you the direct link right to where everything will be. But this is what our events will look like or our web pages will look like for each event. We'll have the fact sheet there. And then in addition, as I mentioned, we'll have the coach rosters, the athlete rosters, just all the information for the event, including if there's healthy athletes, which we're hoping to have at State Summer Classic, Olympic Town, just some of that information will all be included on this website. So it'll serve the same purpose that we've always done in the past. It'll just look a little bit different for you guys as well. Okay, but again, you'll get the direct link right from me as I typically do, so you'll be able to just get right to that point. This is also a great resource to share with the athletes, families, friends, anyone that wants to attend the event. We will have some coach specific information as well as all the spectator information that they could need also. We are planning on having our State Summer Classic again at the Air Force Academy, as Michelle mentioned, on August 22nd. That's when the tennis competition will take place. You guys will not need to resubmit entry forms. We will work with the regional managers to make sure that we have all the correct information. As Michelle said, if there's an athlete that you think can move from one level to the next, from regional to state, you'll be able to communicate that with me. Once regional events are done, I'll send you a roster, and then you can let me know who plans on attending state. And at that point, if we need to move someone up or down based on the successes they had at regionals, we can do that as well. Okay. Are there any questions in regards to the state tennis portion of our Summer Classic? Great. I think that is all I have. Just as you know, as mentioned, we appreciate you guys being flexible with everything that we have going on. I think I've been in touch with a few of you guys, and I think you guys are kind of getting over the virtual practices, and we get that. Trust me. I'm sure it's much more challenging for you to work on that than it is for all of us to be having all these virtual meetings. But we appreciate what you guys have been doing with your athletes and for your athletes. That virtual training page that Jeff referred to, make sure you guys use that information. Even if we're back full in practice, it's a great additional resource for some, for just workouts or different things athletes can do at home and things like that. Are there any specific questions related to state or any of the tennis things we covered?
I just have one quickie. And I'm new to tennis in Colorado. I've done it in Maryland for a long time. But the Denver regional tournament, that will include skills?
Yes. Yes,
Okay.
I will.
Okay. I'm starting from scratch. I'm going to try to convert a bunch of skiers to tennis players. So, you know, I can actually get together with them sometime soon. Thanks.
That sounds great, Diane. That'll be exciting. I love it.
Yeah, and just to reiterate too, all traditional competition will take place in Denver. That Fort Collins tournament, for those of you that are new, Diane, to this right now, started last year with a focus on youth growth. So that's why we only offer skills at that point up there. We get our best competition by offering one regional for all 4 regions. Adrian does a great job running that event. Our crew in general, the GOC, all of you guys, obviously we all kind of run it together. But moving forward, that's what that's going to look like until we can start growing tennis in other regions. So. Just to top off what Susan said, does anyone have any questions? Again, Debbie noted I kind of rushed through the beginning part. I'm not sure how long that would take. And you guys are an easy group. You guys have been doing this forever. We have just so much knowledge on this call right now. I encourage you guys to reach out to each other with questions. Just assume that everything is tentative right now. I know we have stuff on the schedule, but things are going to change. So please bear with us. Everything might change, as much as even like Subway providing lunches at Summer Classic. We don't even know if that's going to be allowed at this point. So bear with us, ask questions, communicate. We are here for you guys. We are here for your athletes. Anything we can do to make your lives easier, please reach out to your regional managers, reach out to Susan, reach out to myself, and we can go from there. So if we don't have any questions, please feel free to log off. We'll stick around for a few more minutes. We got our bocce call at 4. So if you guys have any specific questions or need anything reiterated, stick around. Our staff will be here to answer those for you. And again, in the next few days, look for an email from your regional manager with this recording. So thank you all for joining us, and enjoy the rest of your afternoon if you have nothing else for us.
Quick question, is the bocce ball call on a different link than this one, or are we just staying?
Yeah, it'll be a different link. Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.